Hello again, everyone. I am Chris Shura. Robert Harding rolling into the picture here. Justin Ritzel, and this is the Citizen Sports Weekly for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well, folks.
They can't answer back to you.
I know. I shout at the TV all the time, but that's just me. So.
Chris, I'm doing pretty good. I covered some high school sports yesterday.
Yes.
Only two of us at this table can say that, but
Oh,
okay. It was some good action.
Yeah, well, some of us have to run the desk, edit the copy, coordinate with the page designers, get the pages out, and I did write up the local roundup, by the way. So
An hour's worth of work. Not bad.
oh, really? Okay,
Not bad.
folks, if only you knew. All right, we've got 3 sports topics to talk about today, 2 serious ones, but anyways. Julio Jones, no longer an Atlanta Falcon. He's now a Tennessee Titan. One of the bigger moves of the NFL offseason, you'd have to say?
Absolutely.
Yes. So how does this impact both teams? What do we expect? I think for the Titans, it's a great move. I mean, the Titans, obviously, Ryan Tannehill has been playing very well the last couple seasons for them. And Derrick Henry are arguably one of the best running backs in the league, if not the best. So this helps out the Titans' offense even more. Although I will wonder how good they're going to be losing Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. For the Falcons, look, Matt Ryan, this is his 14th season, I believe, still one of the better arms in the game. There was talk whether the Falcons were going to draft a quarterback, but they didn't. They picked Kyle Pitts, the tight end that I wanted for the Dolphins. I think the Titans are going to be fine. I think the Falcons might be not as good as team as you might think they're going to be after trading Julio Jones. So, Justin, your thoughts on this trade?
I love it for the Titans. I think too often NFL teams and NFL fans, we value draft picks too much. I know my favorite team's track record of recent second-round picks. I think they've gotten one decent starter in the last 5-6 years. Even if Julio Jones is, he's often injured. He's on the older side. But I think it's well worth the risk. You're telling me you're trading for the Titans. That pick's probably going to be in the late 50s. If all goes according to plan for them. So tell me you can get Julio Jones for, let's say, the 55th pick or worse. I think that's a very worthwhile gamble. As far as the Falcons, I'm kind of wondering what the heck they're doing. As you mentioned, Chris, they decided to take a tight end with the 4th overall pick, I believe it was. That was a signal to me that they didn't consider this situation with their team to be a long-term fix. That they felt they had enough talent to jump right back into it and maybe get into the playoffs in 2021. They didn't draft a quarterback, despite the fact that there were several they had the opportunity to do so. So that was a signal to me when they took Pitts that we're going to go for it again this year. And now you're trading your best player, probably the franchise's best player they've ever had, for what exactly, So that I think at best this is a sideways move for the Falcons. You're probably not getting an equivalent to Julio Jones with that second rounder. I think they should have just stuck it out, held on to Julio, paid out the rest of that contract. I think he was only on a 3-year deal. Maybe it's the second to last year this season. Hold on to him, go for it in 2021, and then reevaluate. I'm not quite sure what their game plan is by moving on from him.
Robert?
Yeah, it is an interesting trade from the Falcons' perspective because, as Ritz mentioned, there's no guarantee with these draft picks. Okay, you get a second rounder, but what's that player going to do for you in the next few years? It probably won't compare to what Julio Jones could do for you in that time period. For the Titans, this is a huge acquisition because that offense led by your former signal caller, Chris, Ryan Tannehill, who's turned his career around after not being associated with crazy eyes anymore. That offense is looking pretty good right now. You got Tannehill, a quarterback who's proved to be a serviceable quarterback. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a Mahomes-like, but he's certainly proven that he can handle the duties there in Nashville. You got Derrick Henry, NFL's best running back. And then you have quite a duo now with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. Those two can do some damage together. I know that, there's always this overreaction, immediately after trades like this that, this, catapults them into the, in the discussion, AFC contenders. Look, they still don't have the talent pool that a Kansas City has, or quite frankly, my Bills have. And even, dare I say, your Miami Dolphins, Chris, with the weapons that they have as well. I think that, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, they'll certainly do some damage together. You got Derrick Henry still back there, but, they're playing in a fairly competitive division, I would say. The Colts with Carson Wentz, we'll see if he can, find, the Carson Wentz of old with Frank Reich, his old coach, now the head coach in Indy. So that could be a competitive division. And then just that conference as a whole, you've got New England trying to make a run back. Obviously, you got Miami there. You have the Browns. So, it's not going to be easy no matter how many, great weapons that you have on your team. As we saw last year, they had a decent receiving duo with Corey Davis and A.J. Brown there. I mean, Davis is no Julio Jones, but he's certainly a pretty solid receiver. And, we saw where that got Tennessee at the end. So I think certainly it's a win for the Titans, but I wouldn't overreact to this fact. I think it's still going to be tough for them in that AFC. It's a crowded AFC with the teams at the top, and I don't think this is enough to crack that.
Okay. Our next topic, going to golf. Jon Rahm was your third round leader, basically. The Memorial, was it? It was the Memorial. That's what I thought. Okay. 6 strokes up, looking pretty good to win over $1 million, and then the positive COVID tests came around, and there was an image of Rahm with literally bending over on his knees, like you gotta be kidding me. He got the COVID vaccination. Unfortunately, it was on Monday. And look, there's a lot of different things that you can discuss about this. I mean, look, I don't know about you. We're all vaccinated here, and we've all been vaccinated for a pretty good amount of time, okay? And realistically, we don't travel for a living, per se, okay? You don't see us going to different parts of the country, flying around and stuff, okay?
We haven't taken the show on the road.
If my livelihood, we should do Cooperstown one of these days. If my livelihood depended upon me having to travel, I would be vaccinated, because there's just so many different ways you could catch COVID. And I understand the numbers are down, and that's great, don't get me wrong, but it's still out there. There's variants. You can still get COVID very easily and under the right circumstances. So it's amazing that a pro athlete who has access to vaccines and other health resources did not get vaccinated sooner, where he cost himself over $1 million. And as a side note, there were some gambling, some sports books that paid out to bettors who had Rahm winning the tournament, which is another, I know, I would be like, sorry, you're out of luck. Your guy should have gotten vaccinated, But again, it's sad. You don't want to see anybody get sick. You don't want anybody get ill or obviously have some serious complications from COVID. But realistically, come on, man, get the vaccine. It's just do it, okay? Robert?
Yeah, and to follow up on the point that you made there, Chris, with the betting, the least important point of this, but certainly a valid one. As we know in golf, there's no guarantee that a guy with a 6-shot lead is going to win the tournament.
Yes.
So it didn't make any sense to me that they did that. I thought that was ludicrous. But as far as Rahm's situation, I really boil it down to 3 points. One is that, for himself, he should have gotten vaccinated sooner. I think it was, it was too little too late to try and go out, and after he learned of this exposure, apparently, according to the reports, he decides to get his first shot. And it's like, well, at that point, if you do contract it, you're not going to get your second for a little while. I'll let the health experts weigh in there, but basically, once you have it, you have the antibodies, and I don't know how that works with the vaccine, but again, I'll leave that up to somebody else. But he should. I agree with you. He should have gotten it sooner. The PGA's response to this can't be ignored either, because they put out this statement which revealed that Rahm was exposed, and they learned of this on Monday.
Yeah.
Before the tournament. Now, I've been covering this COVID thing for over a year now. God, I hope we're getting near the end of it. To be honest, as much as I've written about it, I'd love for it to be over tomorrow. But one thing I know from this is that if you are exposed, you should quarantine, especially if you aren't vaccinated yet. So where does the PGA think that they can just come up with their own rules? I'm citing that from the CDC and the state of Ohio, where the tournament was held, that recommend if you are exposed to this, you're not vaccinated, you should quarantine. PGA took a different approach. They let him continue to play as long as he did daily testing, and I think there were some restrictions there. So the worst case happens, he tests positive, and the PGA forces him to withdraw because of that. I think their protocols are messed up. You could have avoided this whole scenario by saying, look, you've been exposed, you can't play.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line there, because he did end up testing positive, and look, he was around other people during the course of the week, whether you like it or not. I get that he was outside, whatever. Last point I'll make is that, in sports, and this is where I'm going to chime in about the Buffalo Bills a little bit, some of these other guys that are out there. There was even a golfer after this who said, I'm not going to share whether I've been vaccinated or not, which in a way he kind of confirmed that he has because of the way he worded it. Get your shots. You just learned a hard lesson here, Jon Rahm, that if you were vaccinated, and I think the protocols would have been different for him, you could have continued on in the tournament. You wouldn't have to withdraw all this other stuff. And you would have won a pretty decent prize. I hope that other athletes look at this and say, the vaccine opens up some opportunities for us here, with practice and, getting back to a normal routine, and it prevents us from a costly situation like this. And in a team sport, the team should be emphasized. I don't know what these idiots with the Bills are doing, going out, running their mouths. Josh Allen's dad, I think, had to be hospitalized because of COVID. And he's out there, I'm not going to say if I'm vaccinated or not. Be a leader. Show, we look to our pro athletes, whether people like it or not, as role models. They should act a certain way in the community, we say. They should be leaders in our community, we say. But then all of a sudden, we set that aside when it comes to the vaccine. I don't think so. If they want to be leaders, they should lead on this and show that they're an example and get their vaccines and prevent what happened to Jon Rahm, because Jon Rahm missed out on a tournament, a non-major tournament, because of this. What could happen with a team sport? Missing players for a Super Bowl, missing players for a World Series. I tell you, that's a costly decision to make just for one or two shots.
And we did see this last season. I mean, we know the Titans had a massive COVID outbreak. Cam Newton missed games with COVID. Again, but there was no vaccine last year. There was no, we had a social distance and mask and those things. And even then, people get COVID even when they were doing those things, because sometimes it just happens in some ways. But there's no reason not to now get vaccinated. Justin, your thoughts?
Well, it makes me wonder, with how the PGA handled this, we're not that far off from the last major tournament, which makes me wonder if all protocols were followed at that. We've had several majors since the pandemic began. Makes me think of if protocols were followed through all those major tournaments. The Memorial, to my knowledge, is not like some giant tournament, So if the PGA was willing to handle it for something that's relatively minor over the course of the season, what were they trying to do to ensure that everyone was available for the big television events. I just think of maybe they dodged a bullet a little bit. The fact that something like this didn't happen to Phil Mickelson or Brooks Koepka, on a Saturday or Sunday a few weeks ago. To Robert's point about, this kind of the wider scope in the NFL, I don't recall us really talking about this in the video, but I remember, was it last month maybe when Brandon Beane made a comment, I don't know if it was on local radio or whatever, that players that get vaccinated, that's going to factor into their decision come training camp over who makes the team and who doesn't, concerning fringe players. And I don't know if it was the NFLPA or whoever came out and said, well, you can't do that. You can't cut players because they didn't get vaccinated. Well, if players are a distraction off the field and they prevent you from preparing for games or whatever in the manner that you wish to, set aside the fact that whether it's vaccinations or what, when players are a distraction off the field, or they prevent teams from doing their job, is that not grounds for getting cut, for being released? So why is this an exception? I wonder. The way I look at it, if Sean McDermott thinks that having 85%, whatever the number is of vaccination is going to allow the Buffalo Bills to resume normal activities to the fullest extent possible, and there are players who are not necessarily important to our success that are preventing us from doing that, then yeah, it's within their right to cut those players. And the players, they have their freedoms to decide, hey, I agree with your comments, Robert, but it is ultimately their choice, whether you like it or not, to get the shots. And they can live with the consequences. Yeah. So this whole situation, Montez Sweat, the defensive lineman,
I read his comments
for Washington. Basically, Ron Rivera brought in, or plans to bring in, a vaccine expert to kind of discuss all this stuff with the players. And Montez Sweat's out here saying like, well, I don't know, about any more information, blah blah blah. Yeah. I don't know. There's just. While we are able to sit here in a room and do our Sports Weekly video kind of like we used to, this stuff is just a reminder that we're just not out of the woods yet. Listen, I'm as thankful as anyone that I can go cover a high school game and I don't have to wear a mask anymore. And that the coaches I talk to don't have to wear a mask necessarily anymore unless they choose to. I'm thankful for that. But COVID is still out there. My dad had COVID a month and a half ago and got hit pretty hard by it. So just everyone needs to remain respectful and try to, I don't want to say gather information. I think as well people should get the shot. But just let's be cognizant that the COVID pandemic is not over. Okay, let's just be real about that.
And again, it's just, I understand if people have hesitancy. I get it. I mean, look, it's a new vaccine. It came out pretty quickly. I get that. But millions of people have gotten this vaccine. And did some of them have an adverse reaction to it? Yeah, there's been some adverse reactions. But you can get an adverse reaction to the flu shot. You can get an adverse reaction to a lot of different vaccines. To me, the rewards outweigh the risks. And, like I said, it's just something that everybody needs to look into it. But I think if you look into it objectively, with an open mind, I think you're going to want to get it. And I'll tell you another thing. You look at the coaching staffs in the NFL. And I guarantee you that the majority of those coaches, and not just the coaches, but equipment personnel, front office employees, the people behind the scenes of an NFL team besides the players, have been vaccinated. And I guarantee you that most of those people have been vaccinated. The players need to do their part and also get vaccinated, because the NFL was very fortunate last year. They were able to complete their regular season. I mean, look, we all know, and I talked about the Titans earlier. There were a lot of postponements. They never had to cancel a game, but come on. The fact they're playing NFL games on Wednesday afternoons is an indication that there were some problems, serious problems. And the NFL was very fortunate in some ways. So, get vaccinated. That's what it comes down to. So, all right, our last topic. This is going to be a fun one. The Auburn Double Days, 2.0 as I like to call them. Their season is ongoing. Welcome to Auburn, guys. Hope you're enjoying it. Got some nice weather right now. Looks like the fans are back at Falcon Park. It's great to see it. And Friday night is the Citizen Night at Falcon Park. And we are celebrating the Citizens' 205th anniversary. Nice round number. And there's free tickets available. I believe there's an advertisement in the paper. If you cut it out, a coupon, you bring it to the box office, you get free tickets, which is always nice. And Friday night, yours truly is throwing out the first pitch. And Robert is enjoying this immensely. He is hoping that I am going to pull a 50 Cent or Dr. Fauci and uncork a wild pitch, maybe hit somebody in the stands or something. I don't know. I'm here to say that while I am no Nolan Ryan or Ron Guidry or Corey Kluber or whatever, I can still throw the ball. Okay. I mean, look, it's not going to be 90 miles an hour. Okay. But I mean, I can lob the ball 30 to 50, 60 feet and get it to the catcher. I mean, is it going to be like a strike? No, of course not. But I'm not going to embarrass myself. Okay. I turn 54 next week, and I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate. I'm not trying to say like I'm bragging here, but I'm very fortunate that I have good health. And knock on wood, yes. And I can still throw a baseball, and I can get it to the catcher, and I will not be embarrassing myself, much to Robert's chagrin. I know he's looking forward. He'll be right there on the field with me, probably with his phone recording it. He'll be posting it to Twitter. Oh yeah. So there you go. So come to Citizen Night at the ballpark, Falcon Park. Support your new Auburn Doubledays. Great that we're doing this. Citizen Night at the ballpark. Celebrate the Citizens' 205th anniversary. Celebrate the Auburn Doubledays. And hey, it's summer. It's baseball. It doesn't get any better than this. Enjoy the ballpark. Enjoy the new team, and have fun. Anything you want to add, sir?
Well, I mean, I would like to poke some holes in your confidence here. I mean, it's quite a bold thing to say that I'm gonna get it there. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna get a little practice in with you here.
Yeah.
We'll see how that arm's holding up. I know for sure you're not a Jacob deGrom.
No.
Max Scherzer, a Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, I wish.
But look, I'm going to tell you what Derek Jeter told George W. Bush. You better throw from the mound, otherwise, look, you're not American, you're not strong, you're a wuss, quite frankly. I mean, you need to throw from the rubber.
You want me to actually? Well, first of all,
well, look, look.
Let's back up a little bit.
If you want to say I'm not a grandpa, I'm not an old guy. If you stand on the grass in front of the dirt, I'm going to be calling.
Well, first of all, they may not let me stand on the rubber because it's supposed to be ready for the game, and they don't want me to ruin it.
Come on.
That being said, I will stand on the edge of the pitching mound.
Oh, what a
Who throws a first pitch from
cowards
the
will you?
mound? When was the last time you saw a first pitch from the mound? When? Tell me when. Show me one. Dig it up. Put it on Twitter later. First pitch from the mound, where the guy threw it from the mound. Okay.
Well, the president I just mentioned did, and look, there's some cocky guys, some ordinary Joes, you might say, average Joes, who've gone to games and they've been asked to throw out the first pitch. I'm sure Ritz has seen his share at Falcon Park over the years. That I'm not standing on the grass. I'm going to go to the mound and throw like the big boys. And sometimes they live up to their promise.
All right.
Other times, boy, do they stink. Either way, I want to see it happen. If you throw from the grass, boy, that's what I would expect from an 85-year-old, not a 54-year-old.
We'll see what happens.
Just a few bullet points here.
A few.
Yes, I have been to many Double Days games, 1.0 Double Days games, and I don't know which inning it is, but in between one of the innings, Chris, they allow like 100 kids, whether they be 2 years old, 8 years old, 13-year-old, they allow them on the field to run from third base to first base. So don't be so concerned with the mound and the fact that you might screw up the mound. The mound will be okay, all right? This whole ordeal just proves what a glutton for punishment you really are. Because I'm wondering, not...
I was kind of drafted into this.
Admittedly, we do not have the largest staff here at the Citizen, but I'm just wondering why you, Mr. Chris Shearer, were the one who was tapped on the shoulder by, I don't know, the manager, Jeremy Boyer, team manager,
Publisher.
and said, Chris, you take the mound, you take the bump. We need a big pitch here. And for whatever reason, you are the one that has been asked to deliver. Chris, I've seen you tip back a beer. I've questioned your form on that. I don't have very much more faith with a baseball.
Well, first of all, our publisher politely asked me to do it. So, and Michelle is a wonderful person, and I couldn't say no to that. So, I guess I was asked because, well, like you said, there weren't many people in the building, but I guess because to mark my 30th year of employment here at the Citizen, this was a broach to me. So, look,
congratulations. Here's an open opportunity to embarrass yourself in front of the city of Auburn.
And there you go.
Congratulations, Chris.
So it will be an interesting experience, to say the least. I will not be hanging around after the game because I am going to be working. I mean, I'll be popping in to do this and then heading back to the office to get the the Saturday newspaper out. So, but it'll be entertaining, to say the least.
You're gonna have a hot dog and a soda, right? As long as you don't embarrass yourself.
It depends how things go. We'll see.
I can see Robert's web headline now. Shearer's first pitch turns into first ground out of game.
All right. Plug. Justin is covering Auburn softball in a little while. They are
boys lacrosse.
And boys lacrosse. I was going to get to that. I was going to say the softball team is tied up. What's the score? 6-6?
6-6, top of the 8th inning, 2 outs. Auburn was down 6-3. Potentially a big comeback could be completed in
Sectional
about an hour.
quarterfinal game, by the way. It's win or go home. And then, like you just said, boys lacrosse, Auburn High. Who are they playing again?
Both games are against Central Square. Auburn High lacrosse got in a whopping 2.5 minutes to their game yesterday before Thunder rolled in. Shout out to Matt Smith, who I talked to when I stopped by Howland Stadium. He said he's a big Marvel fan, this Matt Smith. He said it felt like Thor was ascending from Asgard. The sky's open, and here came the lightning strikes.
And hopefully they won't play like Loki. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate it. And have a safe weekend. We'll see you next week.